Right at the outset, I would like to call upon the students of the Nirmala Institute of Education to welcome all of us in form of a song. Thank you, dear students. That was so beautifully sung, all the voices in one harmony. And now to move ahead with the program, I would like to invite Father Joseph Nazareth, the Superior, to welcome the gathering.
My dear friends, today the Jesuit house is blessed. Do you know why? You know why the Jesuit house is blessed? You know, in Indian tradition we have Atithi Devo Bhava. When the guests come, so they bring the blessings. And today all of you are blessing to the Jesuit house. It is not only for the Jesuit house, for the full humanity. So my dear friends, I take this privilege to welcome each one of you. Father Swamy, I know very well because before his death, I was his driver for a few months in Bangalore, and he could share and he could reflect and he could tell one thing: take care of my people. And he would use three words: protect them and integrate them. And that's what his life has been. So I don't want to more elaborate on the life of Stan Swamy, but I take this opportunity to welcome each one of you. That shows that you are, loving the person who is no more, but we need to carry his legacy forward. And that's why our theme says, can a caged bird sing? And after the question mark, there is something else. Yes, to us. And that is what, after seeing that invitation, all of you have responded. Because there is a spark in each one of us to sing that song of freedom. So my dear friends, I welcome on behalf of our provincial and the Korea community and also the Jesuit community of the Goa province. So have a nice time so that we walk together towards the point which Father Stan Swamy has pointed to each one of them. Have a nice time.
Thank you, Father Joseph. The preamble of our Constitution will now be read by Mrs. Afra.
All of us will stand.
Can we stand, please? The Constitution of India preamble. We, the people of India, having solemnly resolved to constitute India into a sovereign, socialist, secular, democratic republic, and to secure to all its citizens justice, social, economic, and political. Liberty of thought, expression, belief, faith, and worship. Equality of status and of opportunity, and to promote among them all fraternity, assuring the dignity of the individual and the unity and integrity of the nation. In our Constituent Assembly, this 26th day of November 1949, do hereby adopt, enact, and give to ourselves this Constitution.
Thank you, Mrs. Afra. We shall now pay homage to Father Stan Swamy. For this, I would like to call upon the Provincial Father Roland Coelho, Professor Sushila Savant Mendes, Miss Kitty, and Mel. I would also like to call upon Father Simon to move. Thank you. And we now have our panel discussion coming up, but before that I would like to introduce our moderator for this evening. He is an assistant professor of botany at St. Joseph Vaz College, Kortali. He's also a parish priest at SFX Chikali and is involved in environmental and social issues. He is a priest who stands up for justice fearlessly. I call upon Reverend Father Paul Max. Father Paul Max will be providing us all with a brief introduction of each of the panelists.
Well, friends, it's a privilege to be here moderating this session and having four great voices expressing their views and sharing with you the thoughts about Father Stan Swamy. And yes, can a caged bird sing? Can you answer it for me? Can a caged bird sing?
Yes.
Yes. And with that yes, there is through us. So yes, through us the caged bird can sing. Before we move forward, I would like to present before you Father Stan Swamy as composed by Mr. Joe DeCosta. Let's just have a look. Let's experience Father Stan Swamy once again. We all love Father Stan Swamy. We have heard about Father Stan Swamy. We have tried to inculcate the values of Father Stan Swamy. Here is Father Stan Swamy in a song.
Did you cry? Or were you just you're alive? Did you hide your tears in darkness? Those struggles to see the light. Could you see your faces in the mirror? And in their eyes you saw fear. In your suffering they saw pain. But there was nothing for them to gain.
What is happening to me is not something to be happening to me alone. I'm not that I expected that we are all aware how prominent intellectuals, lawyers, writers, poets, activists, students, they are all protested just because they are excellent in their business or raise the question about the ruling powers of India and ready to pay the price for government.
your hand help me stand, for I can't hold a straw in my hand. You may try to pull me down, for I won the battle on the ground, for I won the battle on the ground.
Well, my dear friends, the song sets a tone for today's discussion. And this discussion is a celebration. Let me remind you, we are celebrating 2 years of martyrdom of Father Swamy. And if we are celebrating by sharing some thoughts. And today's session is going to be this way. We have 4 eminent speakers among us who will be sharing their thoughts on life of Father Swamy, or his work, or his life, and the work that he was related to. They will speak or share for 10 minutes each. And when they finish, there is 40 minutes of enlightenment for each one of us, then we can all be part of this discussion. We can share our own thoughts too. Of course, this is not a debate as such, but sharing of thoughts on the 2nd anniversary of martyrdom of Father Swamy. Are you ready?
Yes.
Okay, if you are ready, then let me, without wasting any time, call up our 4 speakers for this evening. Mr. Blaise Kostabir, please come forward. I call upon Mr. Prabhakar Kimble. Please welcome Advocate Afrin Khan. Well, the 4 eminent speakers are right over here in my company, and I'm in their company. I'm glad and I'm privileged to be with you. During this session, I would like to introduce them one by one, and then hand over the mic to them, then we listen to them, and then the next one. To begin with, I have Mr. Blaise Kostabir. All of you know him. Blaise Kostabir is the Managing Director of GMI Zarat Molders Private Limited and the first generation entrepreneur, an alumnus of Asian Institute of Management, Manila. He co-founded GMI Zarat Molders Private Limited in 1995. It is today an Indo-French JV company based in Goa. The company manufactures plastic rotomolded parts under the brand name Shakti. must have heard this name, Shakti. These include the well-known Shakti water tanks. GMI also supplies custom molded technical parts to OEMs in, that is, fuel tanks, water tanks, canopies, fenders, etc. Customers include John Deere, Volvo, Atlas Copco, Budweiser, Dynapec, Aman, Doosan, Oligara, Pai, Kane, etc. The company has ISO 9000, 14,000 and 18,000 certifications. He is also a visiting faculty at management institutions in Goa. He is a past chairman of CII Goa State and past president of Verna Industries Association. He is presently the president of Goa Management Association. He was recently awarded the Alumni Achievement Award by Asian Institute of Management, Manila. He is a regular columnist for the local dailies O Heraldo and The Goal. My dear friends, we have Blaise Kostabi to share his thoughts on Palestine Swamy.
We must be the change we wish to see. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Excuse the reading, but it's the first time I'm doing something non-religious. So I didn't want to mess it up. I did not know Father Stan or the work he did till I read about him in the newspapers like I'm supposed many of you. What I know is easy to find out on Google, so I won't repeat it. However, I would like to say that Lord's ways are mysterious. If Father Stan had not gone through these trials and tribulations, I doubt he would have been sitting here today and pushing his work forward. He may have said a mass this morning for his soul and maybe one more. But he's actually living on the programs, such as this to raise awareness and to surely inspire more individuals and communities to stand up against injustice in whatever form. What Father Stan did, and for what he suffered injustice, is that he went and worked with the community to fight for justice, to give a voice to the voiceless. A community is very important. It is appealing. What one does for a community continues to be visible to the community, as you can see. It instills pride, ownership, and a great deal of responsibility. A community comes together to raise its young and support the weak. Communities can thus be more than the sum of individuals who compose. An important function of communities is to have some influence over the way they are governed, and thus a sense of control over their lives, as well as a sense of public responsibility. Today, decision making in government is decentralized, aka the Panchayati Raj. To the extent that individuals can organize collective political action within a community more easily, it affords a vehicle to affect issues on a national scale. Thus, communities magnify the power of an individual. This is where Father Stan came from. He may not have known the theory, but can be found in the book, The Third Pillar, by Raghuram Rajan, the former RBI governor. Today, more than ever, we need to rebuild or work on this community spirit to address the injustices before us. As a country, we are definitely more prosperous than 50 years ago. But are we freer? A joke can get you in jail for years without a trial, but you can be let off for gang rape because you belong to good stock. While the leadership wishes to have one law for the nation, there is absolutely no view on the same law behaving differently for different individuals. Father Stan was a victim of this and continues to be. To be able to address issues, one section that needs to be motivated, empowered, and made aware of is the youth. However, that in today's world is very difficult. While we can always blame the government for the various ills and injustices, we can always ask and want the government to do this and that, then we stop and ask ourselves, by we, I mean the church, the universal church. I take this liberty that this is a Jesuit church initiative. The Pope is a Jesuit, and I do not think any other Pope has made such an impression on the laity as Papa Francis. He wants the laity to be involved in the life just like Christ. After all, you are in the middle. And without you, there is no church. I hope that the church leadership understands this. In 2014, I wrote about a Hindu businessman questioning the political and religious bygones. I felt then, and now also, it's the best way to combat what is happening around. These groups create fear and fuel an unjust system to further their own ness. It is the moderate forces within each religious group that must stand up and put the bygones within the religious group in their place. I would like to quote what I said then. Similarly, as a Catholic, I feel it is time for Catholics to stand and distance themselves from religious or unjust politics. It is time the Church took a Christian look at politics to save this crumbling edifice of public morality called politics. These unscrupulous and corrupt Christian or Catholic politicians also use caste and community to further their own agendas, with the Church acting as a silent spectator. Calling the Church a silent spectator would not be too harsh. The Church actually participates in making these politicians pillars of society. These corrupt politicians contribute financially to the Church activities and are thus given pride of place in Church affairs. So why would you blame the youth for taking up the path of such leaders? What is the example for the youth to follow? The youth see the social acceptance of these overnight rag-to-riches successes and want to follow in their footsteps. We in turn create more corrupt leaders rather than breaking or grooming better leaders. The Church needs to break this cycle. Unquote. 10 years later, these thoughts are more relevant and the environment is getting more conducive for doing something. It's time. I would give you many examples, but I'll skip them. For starters, should we not refuse to take donations from people by name? You know that a guy giving a generator is not giving it from his pocket, he's giving it from some corrupt money he got or he's forcing someone to give, but he still take it and he put their name on it. Pride of place at the feast mass and call them as chief guests to functions where youth are involved. How many times was Father Stan invited as a chief guest or given the first row in at the old Goa feast? I put this forward for you to think about in our quest for a just society. We worry about government pushing back, but for my views, my friends feel I'll be excommunicated. I'm happy to see Father Ballman here, as he is one priest who is empowering the youth, and he's not just making them activists, but informed and better citizens. His recent video on the Maya is so balanced and yet so powerful, kind of teaching them to fish, but also being sustainable citizens. So while we discuss human rights and other injustices, we should remember that for this fight, we need the youth. We cannot do it ourselves because the fight is not for a day, but continues because injustice continues. We need to give the youth better role models. If the legacy of our stand is to live on, we, the Church, must make a change. We will have to change if we want to see if the caged bird is going to sing. May Father Stan's soul rest in peace. Thank you.
Well, that's Blaise Kostabir, as always, straight to the point, straight from the heart. And he has brought before us such beautiful thoughts. First of all, although he said it's non-business, yes, but there is a business. And the business is just like business gives an opportunity. He has told us how Father's pen is an opportunity for all of us. An opportunity to open our mouths, to open our minds. And he has also brought before us that Panchayati Raj, that is part of our Indian constitution. It allows our involvement in the community, each one of us. Not only Father Stan Swamy, but each of us is allowed to be part of that Panchayati Raj. And the question that he has asked us, are we freer today? This question will go on in our mind for quite long time. Are we freer today? And if not, then what is the thing that we are going to do? As different laws are being exercised for different citizens based on various type of differences. And yes, he has brought before us the importance of involvement of lady and the beautiful thought, you are in the middle of the church. So if you are in the middle of the church, then distancing from corrupt and unjust politics applies to each one of us. Not just lady, but the church hierarchy and church members, all of us, distancing from the unjust and corrupt politics. And example or model is required for our youth today. That is a beautiful point that is raised. Our youth need inspiration. And my dear youth, if you need inspiration, as Blaise Kostabir has told us, Father Stan Swamy is a model, is an inspiration, and each one of us as laity and as church need to bring this example and inspiration for all our youth today. Father Stan Swamy is a role model, so also each one of us can be the same. And then the bird in the cage will keep singing. So this was Blaise Kostabir before you. If you allow me, I'll move to the next speaker. The open house will be at the end of all four speakers speaking. I have before you a great thinker, a thinker who thinks on the ground and especially active during the election time. And not only election time but all other time, Mr. Prabhakar Timble. Mr. Prabhakar Timble is an educationist and a commentator on legal and political issues. He has served several education institutions and a couple of management institutes as well. He was also the State Election Commissioner of Goa a few years back. And today we have Professor Prabhakar Timble sharing with us his thoughts on Father Stan Swamy.
My presentation. Macie Dushlimanis, मुखार दुश्मनानीस भावांतर करी इंग्लिशीन उलयता सुरवात म्हणजे मातशी कोंकणी जावन दी My tribute to Father Stan Swamy, the human rights activist. This one. This is forward. Okay. Human rights activist and who fought for the right of Dalits and right of tribals. Presentation इतलेंच खातीर घाला की म्हाका उलोवपाक कमी पडची म्हणून आवाज कमी आयकलो तुम्ही वाचलं जाल्यार तुमकां समजतलें. Anyway, all of us know this. You were accused of terrorism and jailed at the age of 83. The funny part is what's happening in the country today. The NIA opposed release despite suffering from Parkinson's disease and feeling as if a person of 83 can be a terror threat. So we are observing the second death anniversary, and that means he is with us forever. What inspires us and motivates us are his talks, exchanges, speeches, and his work. A few quotes of his which can inspire, and I have put up there: human rights defenders are repressed but not defeated. So we cannot give up hope. There cannot be a defeat. We may be repressed, but there will be always light at the end of the tunnel, as you say. Finally, every caged bird will come out of the cage and sing, not only in the cage. Why truth has become so much bitter, dissent so intolerable, and justice out of reach, at least in the last 10 years. So that was another of his quote: why each dissenter is put behind the farce. Friends, I was told that we should share something on human rights, because human rights was an issue which has been dear not only to Father Stan Swamy but to the Jesuits also. Jesuits, their main involvement has been in the field of education, human rights, tribal rights, rights of Dalits. So let me say a few things on human rights. When we speak on human rights, we always think of our Indian Constitution. We started our program by reading the preamble. And since we started by reading the preamble, I will just go back, I'll just go back to the first slide. बाकी एक सवय बोले, then out of context होलो. So what slides are there? They are in context. But I will happy to speak out of context, because I want to leave something in the minds of everybody before my 10 minutes lapse. So when we say we stand with Stan Swamy, there is another person with whom we will have to stand maybe after another 5 years. Because there is nobody to stand with you. And that is Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru. Everybody will forget him. Because there is a constituency for Dr. Babasaheb Ambedkar. He has his constituency, the Dalits. They will stand with Babasaheb Ambedkar. There is a constituency for Mahatma Gandhi. The whole world will stand with him. But Jawaharlal Nehru is losing his constituency. And when we read the preamble, when we talk of human rights, when we talk of parliamentary democracy, when we talk of right to dissent, when we talk of the freedoms, when we talk of the modern India, when we talk of scientific temper, and when we want to see that our society continues to be secular, all these seats were shown by Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru. It is his earlier years which shaped India. And now when we are looking at the India today from the India of the past, we say there is so much of departure, because we know that what India should be and what is the idea of India. The idea of India was Jawaharlal Nehru's contribution in creation. And if we don't celebrate him as we celebrate Father Stan Swamy, after so many years, then nobody will remember him also. Let's come back to human rights. See, in our constitution, if the fundamental rights are human rights, then the directive principles are human duties. When we speak of human rights, it has got a legal base, it has got a scientific base also, it has got a logical base, and that is our constitution. So when we look at the fundamental rights, we have the right to equality, right to freedom of association, right to life and liberty, right to a clean and safe environment, right to education, right not to be arrested, right of dissent, right of expression, and the freedom of choice. Choice of production, what I will produce. Choice of trading, what I will trade with. Choice to consume, what I want to consume, I have choice there. Choice of dress, choice of dance, choice of photography, choice of drawing cartoons, choice of expression of all forms. So that's what human rights are all about. And the directive principles are human duties, that is, the state will work for common good. In fact, when we see the directive principles, what it means is that all of us, the state also means all of us as human beings, which comprise the state, the community, the social community, the civil community, should work for social, economic and political equity and justice. Human rights are women's rights also. Human rights are rights of the minorities also. Now I have put the minority in red just to make one statement that there is something goes in the society that minority rights are majority wrongs. Because there are minority rights, it is a wrong done on the majority. This is because we don't understand what minority rights are. Minority rights are also major rights of the majority in some cases. Because when we look at minority, we only think in terms of religious minorities. Minorities can be linguistic and cultural. Minorities can be based on geographical regions. All Indians in UK enjoy minority rights. All Indian Hindus, Indian Christians and Indian Muslims in UK enjoy minority rights because Asians are in a minority in UK. So what I mean to say is the minority rights are recognized by all civilized democratic societies. It is not something of a favor or of a concession. It is because in the society has to flower that minority and majority, minority culture, language, lifestyle, both have to flower. Then the whole entire community and the nation flowers. So if Manipal Institute of Education, we have heard in Mahe, Manipal Academy of Education, they enjoy minority rights, they are Hindus. Hindus are not in a minority in Karnataka, but they enjoy minority, their education institutions enjoy minority rights because they are linguistic minority, cultural minority, they are Kokani. So in our constitution, we have got minority rights as religious minorities, linguistic minorities, and cultural minorities. So that is a point which sometimes does not enter the minds of people. Then, of course, human rights are the rights of the depressed, of scheduled caste, and of tribal communities. Now, when you read the contribution of Father Swamy, you get an extended view of human rights also. And that extended view, I have just put the bullet points there. Protective discrimination is nothing but reservation. Reservation actually is an extended type of human right. Because when people are placed unequally, to promote equity, we need reservations. And today you find there is a lot of hue and cry going against reservations. Even the minority community, the well-to-do oppose reservations. Because if their son and daughter does not get a medical seat, and if the parents are doctors, they may be Hindus or Catholics, they will say, reservation, admission, so with that time we forget that protection to the unequals in a society is a kind of a human right. Fair and just compensation is a human right. This is what Father Swamy was working for. Fair and just compensation to the dispossessed, to people who lose their lands because of government projects or because of mining in the tribal belt. Displacement with consent is something which Father Swamy worked for. Displacement, okay, fine, but do it with consent. So the displacement of people does not result in permanent pain to the people. Because displacing with consent is a human right. Finally, displacement of some or the other kind will happen in a society as development proceeds. But there has to be with consent, there has to be with fair compensation and sustainable development. Friends, we are going through actually a dark period of human rights. You all know that. And I did not harp on it again and again. At least in the last 10 years, we find it's a very dark period. Just look at media surrender. That point, no more watchdog. Look at the media today. And the youngsters, at the back may not understand what I say because they have not seen the media 10 years back. So we have grown with the media, we have seen the media 10 years back. You look at electronic media 10 years back. What issues they were taking up, what debates they were engaged in, and what was the thrust in those debates. The content, I'm not only talking of the quality and the content. and respect for dissent and how the debates were going on, the methodology and the style. Today, you don't feel like listening to the TV. So in 10 years, the change has happened. The media is not bending today, the media is crawling. And the media today is surrendered its responsibility to be the watchdog. You open up any newspaper today, mainstream media. If media has to attack anybody, they will attack the political opposition. They will not attack the political ruling. Whereas 10 years back, each and every news in the media, whatever comments were coming in the media, were attacking the political ruling. So such a revolution has taken place in media today. Total revolution. Upside down, topsy-turvy. So that's what has happened. So the opposition is being attacked because you are not living up to expectations of people. The ruling is not attacked and they are not living up to expectations of people. Arrests of social and human rights activists, that's going on. Dissent countered by slapping sedition and terrorism laws. Judiciary choosing hands off, tongue off. They stamp jail rather than bail. There is a sea change in the judiciary also. Sometimes we feel happy with the judiciary and we say, oh, our judiciary is good. Not as good as it was 10 years back. Risk factor is there. It is just like we are asking for a mercy from the judiciary. Earlier, we were knocking at the judiciary because judiciary is our right to give us justice. Now we are looking at the judiciary as a mercy petition. Please give us justice. So in second place, this is a dark period. And as far as human rights are concerned, the currency which is in circulation today to attack human rights and to attack the human rights activists, the currency is of the Bharatiya Task Force. I am not using the word BJP because BJP has so many frontal organizations. And all those frontal organizations are nationalist organizations, keeping the nation strong, Bharatiya. The Bucks contingent and the social media brigade of the right wing, they use this currency to attack human rights activists. Human rights activism is anti-India propaganda. It is to defend India. It is anti-development. These human rights activists are jealous of India's development under Modi rule. There is a foreign hand working here. There is foreign funding. They are India haters and they only want to promote religious conversions in India. So there is a currency that is used today in the social media, which also, is getting some kind of a recognition from the mainstream media to attack human rights activists. So, I come to the three broad conclusions. In this nation where poets, social activists, writers, scholars, journalists, cartoonists, and even stand-up comedians, forget about writers and researchers, even stand-up comedians are jailed under draconian laws. The constitutional and democratic rights of people are definitely under threat. And when the judiciary of such a nation goes along with the government and submits to the executive, procrastinates in silence, then judiciary cannot guard freedom and liberties of the people. And when the mainstream media, regarded as the guardian pillar of a democratic nation, sings the praise of the government and consistently castigates the political opposition, the odds of the people rocket multiply times. These three forces together are dangerous for India's standing tall after 75 years, tall as a democratic nation. Friends, the last point. Now let me come to Goa, because all of us will be interested in Goa. And when we talk of human rights, sustainable development, minority rights, the Goan society, what is the one single issue in Goa? That's what I feel, one single issue. Now what I have put up in the left are laundry list of issues. And all of you say yes, yes, you say yes, yes. Is secularism the issue? Yes, yes, definitely the issue today. Because all our MLAs have joined the secular brigade. Secularism issue. threat of communalism in Goa is an issue which was not there in our society, in our society. Every time when we write about Goa, the first sentence that we write about Goa is unique. No? It is different from the rest of India. And we can teach the rest of India a secular community life. That's what we say. But is there a threat of communalism in Goa now? Environmental degradation, unsustainable tourism, migration, immigration, pollution, Goa losing Goans. Really, I think so many thousands leave Goa. Goa losing Goa point is the issue of temples, rebuilding temples everywhere. After every kilometer, one temple. After every 2 kilometers, one church. And after every 4 kilometers, one mosque. I mean, is that our issue today? Or statues everywhere? So, one single thing I would like to say here before I close down is the only single issue before Goa and Goans is land, nothing else. If you lose land, you lose everything. And that is the main problem because in the last 5 or 6 years, and in the remaining 4 years of this ruling combination that we have up to 2027, no? After 2027, I doubt whether any land will remain for Goans in Goa. Because each and every department is after land. What is the job of the tourism department? Tourism department is growth of tourist traffic and tourist development so that there is so that economic activity based on tourism flowers and there is more self-employment and employment. So tourism department is also after land. They want to have jetties everywhere. So they want to acquire land for jetties. Then they want to give it to private entrepreneurs and capitalists on lease. So they are after land. Look at the archives department. They are also after land. They want to take this fort, that fort and give it to private enterprise on lease. They also want to give land to somebody. I can understand TCP department is after that. Because the job of TCP department is land, no? Yeah. TCP department, the fellow who came, young fellow who came for the first 2 years, he created a lot of fireworks. For the first 2 months, 1 month, yeah. People thought NGO was very happy. Hey, Adi Sahab aa gaya, he will do something. He started, I will nothing. I will see that this will happen, that will happen. Honeymoon period, 1 or 2 months. And now there's what is so much changes. That the power to convert land on individual basis and the conversions are going on. See the TCP changes. Now, yesterday only we heard about Komundan and we said not that everything is good in the Komundan, not that there is no corruption in the Komundan. And today the Chief Minister talked of privatizing agriculture. And yesterday the ascent is today because the ascent is given to the Komundan land. So is the demand is already on the table of the government by people and by capitalists outside. Take this land in the name of agriculture. So each and every department, land revenue department is after land. The revenue department is again after land. So what was the issue with IIT? It was a land issue. It was not that people didn't want IIT. So land is the most important issue in Goa. And if we can't preserve land for locals and ourselves, then all other issues will collapse. There won't be any issue left. So the focus, I think, of NGOs, of people who think about Goa, who talk about Goa, one single issue we have to focus is how we can preserve and protect Goans from losing their land. With this, I think 10 minutes are over.
देव बरें करूं प्रोफेसर किबले कोंकणींतल्यान सुरू केल्ले आनी जमनीचेर हाडून पावयले आमकां आनीक सुबेज जाली बरी पूण बंद करूंक ना कित्याक टुडे फादर्स टँक स्वामी was standing over here. I felt perhaps he would have spoken these things which we need to hear and which we need to reflect and which we need to think. So I'm sacrificing here. I wouldn't summarize the thoughts that Professor Pingle has put before us. We will have it very clear, and we need to think and we need to give it a thought. And now I present before you a third speaker, Advocate Afrin Khan. Advocate Afrin Khan is currently a practicing advocate. She is a member of Girls Islamic Organization, which works for the reconstruction of society in the light of divine guidance, which is very, very important. She worked in statewide campaigns like De-Editing Goa, Female Feticide, and My Parents, My Paradise, and other campaigns. She is also pursuing Masters in Criminal Law at PM Salgaonkar College of Law. Before you, Advocate Afrin Khan.
I'll start with a quote. Why truth has become so bitter, dissent intolerable, justice so out of reach. Unquote. Father Stan Swamy. Respected dignitaries of the panel and my fellow colleagues and the members of the audience. I greet you all with Islamic greetings, Assalamu alaikum, which means peace of Almighty Allah be upon all of us. The tragic death of Father Swamy Stan, a human rights activist, a tribal activist, at the age of 84, is the lowest at which our judiciary could reach. Father was arrested, labelled as terrorist, and detained on the basis of frivolous, fabricated evidence. This is really a dark phase for our Indian judiciary, and we should fear this. A man who spent entire life for the welfare of marginalized sections of society, underprivileged sections of society, ensuring their rights are protected, for their welfare and their human rights, failed miserably with his own rights. We could not stand up to his rights too. The system failed him. Indeed, the life of Swamy stands so bright and so shiny that the failure of Indian judiciary system doesn't showcase, and his way of life is indeed an enlightening part for all of us. It is not hidden from us that there has been rapid growth of labeling dissent as anti-India, terrorist, and charging them with UAPA and sedition charges. At what cost? Because there are no serious evidences available. All the evidences which are available are either fabricated or created. The main issue why the government is so scared about dissent is that it knows its loopholes, it knows what it stands for, it knows how it will fall down. So what it needs is a strong opposition, a strong dissent from the public, because India indeed is a democratic country, and freedom of speech and expression covers right to dissent, which is also a basic human rights, and it's well protected in our constitution. It is one of the fundamental rights enshrined in our constitution. The Indian judiciary has rapidly held that right to freedom of speech necessary intense right to criticize and dissent. But unfortunately, cases like Father Stan Swamy, Umar Khalid, and Safra Sagar are not unknown to us. It is the duty of the civilized society that we as one should stand against all the injustice and stand against all the oppressions of the ruling power and stand without any distinction, without any differences of caste, creed, religion, and gender. Here I would like to quote here I like to quote a verse of Quran which says, "O man, who believe, be persistent, standing firm in justice, witness of Allah, even if it is against yourself, against your parents, relatives, or whether one is rich or poor. Allah is more worthy of it." Here we have various directions given to us so that we have to stand firm by Almighty, so that we don't let the government break us and do its own way. I am of the opinion that UAPA or NI Act are weaponized against Indians who had different view other than the government. Like the Delhi riots, we have Sharjil Imam and all other fellow colleagues of his who are just leading a protest against anti-CAA, but they are charged with sedition charges and UAPA charges. Witch hunting against the human rights activists in Andhra Pradesh and Telangana is not also hidden from us. We also have seen how the farmers' protest was led to a different direction altogether. We have also seen journalists like Santosh Yadav, Siddiq Kapan, and all those people who spoke and covered the incidents of rape and all the other, bringing out the sad part of our ruling people, were jailed and charges of sedition were put on them. I would say that the principles of criminal justice, that is, bail is a rule and jail is an exception, have been turned by the majoritarian government, and jail has become the rule and bail as an exception. And this rule is just for those people who speak the truth, and the perpetrators of hate are idolized, are touched, their feet are touched, respected, and are free to spread more hate and violate the rights of majority, a minority, and other marginalized communities. With all the situations of injustice and hate, let's not lose faith. Strive to achieve justice in society like Father Stan did till his last breath. I would quote Father and conclude my talk. What is happening to me is not something unique happening to me alone. It is broader process taking place all over the country. We all are aware of how prominent intellectual lawyers, writers, poets, activists, student leaders are put in jail because they have expressed their dissent on or raised question about ruling powers in India. So we are part of the process. As such, in a way, I'm happy to be a part of this process because I'm not the silent spectator, but a part of the game. I'm ready to pay the price, whatever it be. Unquote, Father Swamy. Thank you for listening.
Well, that was a practicing advocate speaking to us and sharing the thoughts and beautiful thoughts that are enlightening. And surely she has brought before us once again the dark phase especially in the life of Father Stan Swamy towards the end of his life. And that was perhaps pushed by the system failure, judiciary failure, and of course she has brought before us the fabricated and created labels that have been pasted on Father Stan Swamy's activism, and along with Father Stan Swamy, all other activists of our country. The labels are being pasted. She also reminded us that government is scared of dissent, and dissent and opposition, which is fast dwindling, which is fast dying out for whatever reasons. And that is where we need to stand up, stand firm in solidarity. That is a call that Advocate Afrin Khan has given to us, stand in solidarity. And of course, UAPA and NIA being weaponized by our government in power today against the activists in our entire nation everywhere. And she has also put before us the jail and the bail. Nice thoughts about jail and bail too. And concluded with striving for justice like Father Stan Swamy did, just as he said, I'm not a spectator, but I'm part of the game. So let's be part of the game and move to our final speaker of the day. You know her well, and she has been very educative, talking so many things, expressing and doing so many things especially. We have before us Talula De Silva. Talula De Silva is an architect with deep sensitivity for environment. She specializes in cost-effective and sustainable building. She is an active educator and a strong promoter of outdoor learning, a new type of learning that perhaps creates great citizens for us in our country, outdoor learning, practical learning. She is involved in various initiatives such as Kids for Tigers project and the Global Shapers community. She has also pioneered several urban intervention initiatives such as Nomozo, it happens in Tanjin, No Water Zone, and developed ecological projects such as Ecoloop. Talula has won several awards for her work and is an international speaker. The iGen magazine lists her as the 50 top architects that will shape India. And to shape our thoughts, I present before you Talula De Silva.
I thought I would share with you a perspective that is closest to my heart and definitely will make you also see the connection. There's a lovely message in the Bible where Jesus says, don't stop the children from coming to me, let them come to me. And of course, I didn't know Father Stan Swamy, but through his arrest and his life in prison and what I unfolded later, to learn how his work with all of us as the children of God has a very strong message and values that we must try in whatever way we can to uphold. During the pandemic, I got an opportunity to work with my community children, and everybody would ask me, are they Goan? And I would say they're Indian, they're humans, and we all have rights. And there were Nepali children, there were children from Jharkhand, Bihar, UP, Karnataka, Maharashtra, Goa, and many others. You see some children here in what we call outdoor learning, experiencing, teaching. During the pandemic, you remember, right? Suddenly gadgets, screens became compulsory. Things that we were striving to keep children away. It became a new drug. And there were many children who could not afford it, who were completely taken, their opportunities were snatched away because they had no access to online classes. They had no gadgets, there no screens, there no computers. Some of us had that opportunity to share what we had, to share the shared spaces that we had, to allow children from all the migrant communities that lived around us to come and be with us. Some of them would be there the whole day because parents had to work. There was a little girl called Gauri and Ganesh, she was 6 years old. Mother would say, मुझे काम पे न जाना है, आप उसको रख सकती हो. So we had no choice. we felt empathetic. And we found that some of the children were so skilled that we put any child going to a private school to shame. While we were taking some children to show them to identify a tree where we could build a tree house, there were these 4 children, Manish, Raja, Jayaprakash, and another boy, who had already built their tree house from waste material that was found in the neighborhood. An old mattress that was done, some planks, some ply, and they were having such a great time. We found some of them into delinquency at 13, 12. In the mixed group, the ones that were privileged also had an addiction. They were addicted to games. Parents wanted them to stay with us so that they could be de-addicted. There were others who were addicted to other addictions, substance abuse. So we had to also try to get them to focus on the skills that they had. I'm going to show you some images. The previous one, if you can go to the previous one, so some of the children here are from the community classroom. This is a walk. Other ballbacks had announced that this was, I think, a pilgrimage walk. It said if we do a pilgrimage walk on this day, on Good Friday, it would be great. We did a walk to an island in the Swamy Bay. It's a rocky island. And at low tide, you will check the tide timing. At low tide, you can walk across. There's about water about this much. And we often do that. We walk with the children. And many of these children who are considered academically weak, dropouts, useless, troublemakers, are so smart, so intelligent, that often they are the ones who are finding us things out of curiosity, from their traditional knowledge, from their tribal past, which is so important to us today. Okay? So they find us different kinds of mollusks, kubay, then the mother of pearl shell, right? It's called necker, different kinds of snails. Okay? And we often share it with our scientist friends to help us identify these. They also help us work on issues of environmental concern, to look at pollution and bioremediation. They have all the skills. If you take other children who are privileged, they will not be able to. And when we work with a mixed group, there is a lot of learning with both the different groups together. This is the Sandinesh tree, where we did a floating garden. It's called the red crocodile for bioremediation because it is so polluted. And often, the so-called poor are blamed, but I always say how much can a poor man ship to be able to pollute. There's a lot of clandestine pollution coming from gated communities and others which goes unnoticed. And like our young friend advocate said today, what is wrong is seen as legitimate and what is right and truth is ignored. But when children come and join us to raise voice against the dying mangroves, they've understood there's no fear when we walk into these waters, whether there's toxic water, whether there is pollution in the water, is a part of the designs. This is a part of a community art project. Let's look at Goa and its assets. What are the oldest assets that Goa has? It's not only the churches that were built or the monuments that were built during the colonial period. They have a rich history. Cousins were built by indigenous communities, understanding the lay of the land and the floodplains. These are non-cement concrete structures in comparison to the Atal Setu, which will last us into 15 years. These are sustainable development, climate resilient systems. Infrastructure like the Moreland forest, which needs to be protected, which gives us air, water, everything that we need. These are salt tanks. We often create awareness about these. Who are the people that build these? And who are the people who are managing these? If you go to all the salt tanks, who are the workers? They will not be Goans, but there are some Indians coming from indigenous communities, tribal communities. These particular salt tanks you see in Goa now have to barely about 30 in number. We have people from Gokarna who are coming. You know, the village of Gokarna. They will come and manage a lot of manual labor. What are the indigenous systems that Goa has when we talk about Save Mahadev and having water security? Do you know that Goa is already 52% desertified? What does it mean? We talked, Professor Prabhakar talked about land and the issue of land, right? Trees are getting cut, land is being sold, bought by ministers, right? And we have natural systems, indigenous systems, freshwater wells. Who are the people who knew it? I learned it from all my masons, for coming from tribal communities, who knew that you have to take Rumrache Zard and Avrache Zard, you take the wood of that, make a plank at the bottom, you make a ring, and then you lay your stones to make a very sturdy, non-cement concrete ring well, right? So where are these gone? Where is the knowledge gone? If we don't protect our communities, this knowledge will also be lost. Mud building. It's been a number of years that I'm trying to promote the dream that Lorry Baker had of promoting mud as the most sustainable material. In the Konkan, do you know, our indigenous communities are the ones that protected this knowledge. Lateritic soil is that magic material. You don't need sand, so it addresses sand mining. You don't need laterite stone, so it addresses quarrying and mining. You have simple soil under your land that you can use for building. Here you see two young boys and some others taking the lead. Then again coming from indigenous communities with tribal knowledge. They have also showed us how these walls are to be built by just adding water and shaping them into place. Don't you think that they have a right too? These are children from the Makadmari community. How many of us know their existence? Makadmari are the monkey hunters. We have two nomadic tribes in Goa, Dhanagars and the Makadmari. Today their situation is abject. We are selling land, we don't have land. And it was by a few individuals who were human rights activists who managed to give them temporary location in Mirakkal, Ponda. Some of our students were working on a project to give them a community space, a temporary structure, and then we can spend some time with the children here. Again, they're so smart, so intelligent, just waiting for opportunity, recognition of their rights. And then finally we come to the state of Goa. My co-panelists have already and moderator have already highlighted this issue that Goa is at a state, it's a dark period, they're losing land, and ironically, while the Ranis and others are selling land, do you know that in climate change we are going to be under submergence? Do you know we'll have to try to live on water? We'll have to be climate refugees. The day is not far. Where is the land then that we are fighting for, we are trying to sell, right? It needs a collaborative, united effort. And children have rights too, to speak up and fight for that land. So in the work that we do, we also try to engage children in mixed groups, in all the campaigns, in Goa particularly. Even for Father's Time, Swamy, we had a group of children who went for the memorial about a year ago and spoke up. This is for the No More protest. In the night, you see children who collected coal and sent a message. Mangrove tree plantation, which is a very important measure for mitigating climate change and protection of our coast, along with Father Balmax and the forest department. Who are these children? We say that they do not belong to our land, right? But yet we see their service everywhere in our community, whether it is in farming, whether it is in construction, whether it is in all these drives, we see them. And on one of the occasions, you see one guerrilla planting next to the Anglican church. Of course, I managed to evade protest because I learned about my rights. I had a dog and some children. I asserted that I have children with me in my way, you cannot arrest me. Okay? But in the second last picture, there are children here who came for a guerrilla plantation which was trying to be sabotaged by ministers and the representatives of our capital city. This is a path that was leading to the Miramar beach, Karanzare beach. And the children faced so much intimidation. They were asked questions like, which school are you from? Tell us, what is your name? Because they wanted to go back to the school and see that the child got in trouble. This is the attitude that we all have. And yet we read messages that clearly say in the Bible, let the children come to us, because there's so much we can learn from them. And let us not cage these birds, because they will sing. Thank you.
Well, that was Karuna de Silva singing from her heart. Do I need to summarize? I don't need to, still I'll take this chance, because she began with, let the children come to me, from a Bible quote from Jesus. And I like that she referred to all her children. I say all her children because she is like a mother to all the children when she takes them in the community classroom, and all our children of India. She has also reminded us of COVID that turned everything topsy-turvy for our world. In that, the empathy that was shown by Mother Swamy has stood out. In her life too, Mother Swamy's empathy that was towards the Dalits and the marginalized. Here we have also Talula and her empathy towards the so-called as or termed as delinquents, addicts, and the way that they have been transformed into skilled heroes. Today, they have been involved in a lot of our activities, a lot of our sustainable development activities. She has also told us about the resources and treasures that we have in Goa, which need to be understood more and which need to be appreciated more. And the indigenous community that has connected with the land that is so dear to us, which is, she said this word, which I use often these days, desertification of Goa. I'm still afraid that we might have to see it in our own life, in our own time, and not the next generation, desertification of Goa. And of course the treasures that we have, and she has also brought in front of our eyes what Father Swamy would have done, the nomadic tribes of Dangars and Magadmari in Goa. And surely the threat of submergence that we go on facing, and we might be the refugees of climate change. These are big terms, refugees of climate change. And yes, we are all children, and let the children come to me, let the children come to us. And like Father Swamy, let us be empathetic. That's what Talula has opened her heart to us. Thank you, Talula. Well, my dear friends, our time is up. The four great speakers that I have with me, and me getting a chance to listen to them carefully and put before you a few thoughts. It's now an open house. Open house means, okay, all the four speakers still can bring up some thoughts if they have, perhaps you missed in your presentation. If you would like to present any more thoughts in short, my speakers. Well, they have said it all. So the house belongs to you, the mic belongs to you. Anything that you would like to share or say, or even the speakers, whatever they have shared, if you want some clarification somewhere, of course not a fight, not a debate, but feel free, the house is yours. Yeah.
Yes, Father. I would like to.
Can I have you in front?
Good evening. My name is Lovis Vegas. I am the elected Vice President for the Catholic Association of Goa, also the Joint Secretary for International Human Rights. I want to ask a simple question. First of all, to myself, being a Goan, how many of us are doing a research? See, our Goa is being looted and secretly. Now these surveys which are done in Goa, from 1971 to 75. Before 71 it was done. So there were government officials who were unqualified, kept as collectors and magistrates. And they have done all this rubbish and kept in the court. So today, that same land, after in possession of 41, they have got an order saying that if you are in possession of any land for 41 years, that is yours. So from that year, that the surveys are done and without any consent of any family tree, nor there is any succession deed, nothing is been examined. If you are working in Bombay or if you are working anywhere, which is your fundamental right, your house is gone, your properties are gone, half is sold, and then the time you come to discover, you go in courts. It is such a big torture for all of us. Today after the COVID, we have all realized because a lot of time was given by God for us to think about it. You see, and I am also a person who is a victim because I have seen my properties being sold. There are 17 cases in the CBI where I didn't know anything. Someone makes any person alive, and someone dead person is made alive, and alive people are made dead. And what is this going on? So I want this to put in, since speakers are there, father is there, our land is to be protected now. People are running out of Goa. Why they don't want to fight? Because they don't want to waste their time in years. But they want to earn money. So my question is this: where are all the rights gone? The apex court has said in 2018 a judgment that all courts should be computerized. None of the courts in Goa are computerized today. I want to say the trial courts for paperless judgments. Everybody is quiet about it. No one is talking. Lawyers are also quiet about it. There should be some sense of fighting it out, no? Unless we get it through the people, all people must get up.
Okay, thanks for your thought, Mr. Davis.
That's all.
Okay, although this is not a direct question to the speaker as such, but that is a thought that has been shared by him, and it is about land. And if it is about land, it is also about Father Stan Swamy and all those whom Father Stan Swamy empathized with. My speakers, any of you can comment on it.
One thing I can add is I understand and agree that land is under immense pressure and there's a lot of frauds taking place. So let's say, and it is private land or jointly owned land. One of the key things is to remain united. If it's my personal land and if I'm fighting for it, it's my fight, right? But imagine if we come together, right? You remember the Melody case, right? Where all the women led, remember there to support them, but they really broke the police away, right? It requires that kind of passion. It requires that kind of daring to be able to know that there are dangers, but we will do it, for our children, for our future generations. I, of course, have a different opinion to, especially because of the pandemic, and this realization of living a life of detachment. And what do we own finally when we die and go? Do we own anything, right? And there is great value in sharing what we have. So how can we share? We can come together, as individual owners to protect the land, but with the rider that can we put it to a better use, right? Can we share that land for a common cause? I say everybody has houses. There are people today, maybe senior citizens living alone. So when I was running the company classroom, I would say that this model can be applicable to all villages. There are so many people living alone. Imagine if the house is full of children and you're sharing your space, you're cooking together, you're teaching them. There's so much joy in that. So there are a lot of layers and a lot of things we can do, but the key is to remain united, to fight for our common, assets, and with a vision that this is for our future generation.
Excuse me, with reference to what she said, food for thought. If people can come together consequent to this meeting and think of establishing a trust, I won't say linked to any particular community, but a trust to take care of such properties which cannot be managed by the owners. And the beneficiaries of the trust should be the owners and other causes. So it's food for thought. If there are people who can come forward, including Lawrence, and there are many others, maybe who could do this, just think of forming a trust and invite people. Those are all of India, birds will gladly take the property, not with and trust custody of the property with the trust for the beneficiary, for the benefit of the trustees and other causes. It could also be a social cause.
Well, the ideas that are shared over here today are beautiful ideas and very good ideas that will save us and that will bring us together. Let these ideas be turned into action by our hard work, our solidarity, and the things that we can put into practice.
Aruna, you take the initiative in getting this moving. You'll get
I
us.
can help because I can connect you to a lot of people who I met recently and earlier who are thinking on the same lines. They are in the rest of the country where they have land but they don't want it for self. And we also talked about this idea of forming a trust and like Oregon had a model where people could come, they don't own land. You can work on the land and actually the benefits as a community. And therefore there are many people who are doing it. So there is an opportunity in doing it. I can help you connect to people who are also.
No, it's not helping individually. For example, the
Yes,
organizers
yes.
of this session today,
Yes.
they themselves will take the lead.
Sure.
Yeah, mic is still open. Please come forward so that we can all hear you.
Is basically because we do not have a leader. It is acceptable all over India. A leader of intellectual and knowledge nature. Same problem is in Goa. We have an activist in the social field, in environmental field, in political field. We do not have a leader that can get all of that together. Professor Tinley has pointed this thing as the main problem in Goa today being the land. Recently, a journalist, Mr. Sandesh Kudres, has published a book again identifying land as the main issue. I think that we need a leader who can take up the join all these groups and make it start a mass movement in the world. May I think that Professor Tinley will take up the leadership?
See, leadership has to be taken by young blood. I already crossed my 60s. You require a young person with new ideas, not old people like us. And actually, for protection of rights, it should start from the self. Now, we raised the point about his land and all. If I sleep over my land for 30 years, we can't blame the whole society for that. Correct? No. I have say 15 acres somewhere in Sagen, and I go for work here, there, everywhere, fine. But I don't have a look at my land once a year or once in 2 years, and after 30 years I come and land. See, who is supposed to protect? I can understand public land being usurped being given to private capitalists. So then we require a organization, a mass movement. We require community participation. As far as these private lands are concerned, I should not stake over my rights. No? So what is happening in Goa is, I'm not hinting at you. I'm saying generally, not you. Generally, it's not you. Generally, I should protect my rights. So if tomorrow, say I have got my flat, I will do a fire insurance. I am going out on a trip, I will do this fire and theft insurance. So if I have got property, then I have to assign it to somebody to protect it and pay him some allowance per month. I mean, there are many ways of doing it. If it is my property, what is the point in crying about it after 20 years or 30 years? Not that what is happening is correct, but I am saying I should not fail in protecting my property as I am protecting my all other things. So I am there for this, but that one leader will appear and save us, that will never happen. Those days are gone. Of somebody will come and save us, like Shivaji will save us, or Modi will save us, one leader, those days are gone. We can protect ourselves through a number of small community groups in this today's world. Yeah.
That Narayan was not a young man when he took up the leadership.
Doctor, I just want to add one thing. I agree with Doctor, but I just want to say that we've all already said it. So what Doctor is saying about a leader, it means that each one of us has to be that leader. The onus is not on somebody else. And what each of us, all of you need to have that leadership and that initiative is to on trust bring us together. Because today we see it happening even amongst activists. I am shocked that even the so-called some activists who we have great regard to, internally there is a lot of conflict. There is some insecurity. Why is that person not doing this? Why is that person not? We should try to not entertain such, statements. If we have solidarity, we will be able to achieve. And again, as I take the lessons from the Melawi women and many others, the tribal communities, how united they are, right? Today in our society, what we lack is unity because we don't have trust. And we should not leave the onus on somebody else to be our leader. We have to each play a part of that leadership. And Dr. you'll be happy and Professor Tingle, recently when we have had a protest, we had a silent march during the carnival, parade. We walked with a little box painted as the dead body of Patrick City. And while the carnival started at other end, we walked from this end. We were a small group. We had two youngsters, they were under 18. And people got arrested. We got really we were at the mercy of the assault of the police. And there were these two young boys. They stood up until they are part of various youth groups where they are very vocal and they spoke that the youngsters will bring about change. But we need to support and we need to really encourage their trust. Add to the fact that we trust them, they will be
घाटोतोपल्याशिवाय दूध गमना. ऐकलं असतं तुम्ही. घाटोतोपल्याशिवाय दूध गमना. And of course we have seen that those who are pained have started opening their mouths. Those who are pained have started coming on the streets. The question would be, those who are not yet pained, should they wait till they are pained? If we are looking for saviors, I don't think any more saviors are going to come, because the Savior has come and Savior abides in us. Savior abides amongst us. So there is no more saviors, no more Savior that is going to come to save us. And as Father Stan Swamy said, I am not a spectator, but I am part. That is what Tanura had just said. We are part of that leadership. And if we are part of that leadership, yes, let us carry the charism of Father Stan Swamy. Let us carry the empathy of Father Stan Swamy. And as my speakers have put it before you so nicely, the thoughts that they have, maybe they have not completed or they have not exhausted everything. And even if we are going to have more discussion throughout the night, we are not going to exhaust everything. But one thing for sure, we come together, we empathize, we feel with each other, and of course the ways that are being proposed of having a trust maybe, or having even advocates coming together, architects coming together, businessmen coming together, professors coming together, people coming together, and that is what Father Stan Swamy, I feel, would stand for. And as, of course, lot of spiritualization can be done, lot of logical and even illogical conclusions can be drawn, but there is a propaganda that is going on. Two wrongs do not make one right. Must have heard this before. Two wrongs do not make one right. And in the world today, and our leaders today, and those who are above us and those who are amongst us are wrong, let us not try to make it right by we being wrong. We will never be able to make that. So let us be right when somebody else is wrong, and if somebody else is wrong, then we need to correct that wrong so that we become right.
Having said that, there are three pillars in a democracy: the political, the executive, and the judiciary. In Father Stan's case, the judiciary did not grant him bail, which is a rule. 4 judges of the Supreme Court came out, and that was the first time there was a tremor of the judiciary. Today, the political system is totally rightist. The executive have to follow the political process. But what is the role of the judiciary? Judiciary uses the weapon of contempt and keeps the people in fear. And in Father Stan Swamy, I was reading the following, because being very close to Jesuits, I know they're a class of intellects. Spiritually very strong, it's difficult to be a Jesuit. Spiritually very strong, and yet with a deep message and sense, with the earth connection, with the needy. That's what Father Stan Swamy did. But a single Father Stan Swamy was able to cause tremors, whatever it is, tremors in the central government. Then I salute Father Stan Swamy, may his soul rest in peace. But what they need to do, why I tell you this? Because the Jesuits are such a strong force. If I may share with your permission, Father Ronan, Matani Saldana, I say, was my teacher in 1975, the first year he began his life in teaching. And he befriended me because I was very full of energy. And he was given accommodation in the Jesuit house. He is a product of the Jesuit house on social activism. He stayed many years here. And so he is an orphan of Jesuit house, and brought up by the Salesians, complete product of the Catholic Church, and even the Don Bosco priests were very considerate when used to go on for protests. But social activism, fighting for the Ramboat cause, came from teachings of the Jesuit house with Jesuits. But what did he do? When he stepped into the horse, he marched with the rightist wing. He marched with the rightist wing. He said, this is what happened to him subsequently. And now we see how many of our people who are fighting for a secular India are marching to the rightist wing. So something is sweeping, the fear is sweeping. But the main savior of ours can be judiciary, because even the fourth pillar, the media, is totally today suffocated. So judiciary, till today the judiciary has not said what was placed before the High Court to refuse bail to him. Constitutional Court, bail is the rule, which the High Court, Supreme Court says very often. But a man with Parkinson's, I know some close relatives of mine have Parkinson's. I know how Parkinson's marches on. You know how difficult it is to live a life. So I know personally what Parkinson's can do to a person. And deny a bail even on medical grounds when they gave a bail to other journalists overnight. So something is also drastically wrong in our country. In the judiciary. The judiciary doesn't hold the scale of band in our eyes. So we must also raise our voices and raise our voices about the judiciary. Till today, what were the charges by the central government on Father Swamy is what I, as a citizen of India, would like to know. A petition has been filed. So let us look forward to know what he was accused. His dead and gone, may his soul rest in peace, and may many carry on his activities before the tribals, like Talula also live in the indigenous communities and all that. But what were the causes which led to his arrest under the stringent UNPA? A man of 80 could be a threat to the central government and citizens and the government and Prime Minister, most powerful man in the country. What were the reasons? We should all know, and I request Father Bolmax, with your ability of arranging various demonstrations, we will have to reach out and find out what happened to that petition when somebody filed, what charges were brought on him. Because if it is brought on him and judiciary remains silent, and does not release you on bail, which is your right, a fundamental right till you are accused. But this man was arrested and kept in jail, and even medical grounds, such severe medical, were not released on bail. So something we have to know. So in this way, we will, set the law in motion that tomorrow we will not be able to just incriminate other social activities having a religious background. Thank you.
It enlightens us more, and it also makes our spirit want to do something. There are a lot of things that we can do and we should do, and of course let us keep all these thoughts in our mind, but let them not be caged. Let it sing. Let us sing with all these birds that have gone into our mind today, this day, during this short period, and let us sing. How the harmony is going to come out, what will be the last final song that will come out, only time will tell. We pray for Father Stan Swamy, and we pray through Father Stan Swamy. I believe he is in heaven, a martyr for us. So, for all those who are ready to be martyrs for Goa, for all those who are ready to be martyrs for indigenous people, for all those who are ready to be martyrs for our land, a big salute, and thank you so much for being here and sharing this wonderful thought on the second anniversary of martyrdom of Father Stan Swamy. Thank you.
Thank you, Reverend Father Bolmax Pereira, for moderating this session. I would now like to call upon scholastic Ingo Calister Zwang to give the vote of thanks.
Good evening and thank you for being here today. I am truly honored to have witnessed such an insightful and thought-provoking discussion on the topic, can a caged bird sing? Yes, through us. Truly thought-provoking. First and foremost, I would like to express my deepest gratitude to esteemed panelist, Mr. Blaise Kostabi, President of Goa Management Association, Managing Director of JMI Zara Molders Private Limited, Professor Prabhakar Timble, Educationist and Political Commentator, Ms. Talula De Silva, Architect and Environmentalist, Advocate Afreen Khan, member of the Gulf Islamic Organization. Your expertise and passion has truly enriched our discussion and shed light on the important issues and impact our society. Each of you have brought a unique perspective to the table, fostering a truly enriching dialogue, and has left us all with such much to reflect upon. A heartfelt thank you goes to Father Bolmax Pereira for skillfully moderating the discussion, ensuring a smooth flow of ideas and opinions. Additionally, I would like to acknowledge Ms. Velma Fernandez for the provision and hosting of the program. On behalf of the Goa Jesuits and the Collaborative Learning Cafe, I would like to thank each one of you for being part of this discussion. Your engagement and participation has made this discussion truly interactive and dynamic. The knowledge shared and the connections made today will undoubtedly have a lasting impact and have a collective journey towards a better tomorrow. Let us carry the spirit of Father Stan Swamy beyond this room and continue to work together to create positive change in our communities and the world at large. Once again, thank you all. Have a pleasant evening.
This panel discussion for this evening, Candidate Bird Singh. Two things. One, I would like to remind you that on 8th July at 3:30 p.m. there is a prayer at the Azad Maidan. We can all gather there as we gather together to pray for peace in Manipur. That is on 8th July at 3:30 p.m. And lastly, once again, I would like to invite the students of Nirmala Institute of Education to sing a beautiful song for us. Can we all stand, please?